Yesterday we already had practice, we've already got the show on the road, but Saturday is where it matters in Moto3 in terms of setting the grid. But first, FP2. Not a session you want any misdemeanors, not a session where you want any dramas. Get through this cleanly, give yourself the best run up into qualifying, and hopefully bank yourself a good grid spot. Good morning.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Kiko. Good morning to you, and hello to everyone as well watching along. Sprint Saturdays here at the circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Very excited for today. I think across all three classes yesterday we had some intriguing results, let's say, and Moto3, as we saw, and helped Keras for the second time this season, is sitting outside of the top 14 at the end of play on Friday. He had a late lap cancellation which didn't come through till very late on. He was inside that top 14 just, of course, and then got bumped out of it once that lap time got cancelled for yellow flags at the end of the session. Rueda would have been in the same situation, but he managed to get a lap time in on his last lap to promote him into that top 14. So Rueda got away with it, but Keras didn't get that last lap time in, got a little bit beaten up along the way as well. Munoz got a late lap in as well. So a lot of the big hitters yesterday left it pretty late, and this is an important point, Kiko. The 99 diving straight into the long lap penalty loop, because he's got one to serve tomorrow morning.
Indeed he has, and that stems from an incident involving himself and Max Quiles. He was slow on the racing line, down through turn one. I don't think Jose Antonio Rueda was fully aware of his surroundings at the time, but it is a second offence for being slow on the racing line. That means a long lap penalty, and it's a really tricky long lap penalty here, El. It's not just one continuous long loop, it's actually the right-left of the opening couple of corners. You can see that Jose Antonio Rueda's put his arm up and trying to get out of the way, but then he comes back across right in front of Max Quiles. Quiles really doesn't have anywhere he can go, and then when Rueda bails out, the lap's gone away anyway. Jose Antonio Rueda, a slap on the wrist and a long lap penalty, because really you can't be doing that.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. On reflection, watching it a few more times, once he puts his hand up and something obviously flies off that KTM as well, you've got to do a little bit more to get out of the way, look behind you, see what's coming. Of course, a lot of things to think about in the braking zone, a lot of top speed going down into that turn one here at Catalonia as well, but I think along that penalty for that is fair, because he did impede Quiles and a couple of other riders as well, and helped Keras one of those. So yeah, something a little bit spicy to add to Sunday morning. Not what Rueda would have wanted. He enjoyed himself yesterday morning, said he felt really comfortable, but then in the afternoon just struggled a little bit. The conditions really changed yesterday afternoon. A little bit more grip down there. The wind was causing a bit of havoc as well. A lot of the riders said that yesterday, and slipstream is going to be vital. So Rueda is obviously going to cost himself around about 3 seconds if he does nail that long lap penalty loop in tomorrow's race. He's got to now, of course, qualify well, try and get that long lap penalty done as quickly as possible and still be in a group, because the riders were saying yesterday, if the wind is as it was yesterday on Sunday, then once you sort of lose that half a second to a second with the group ahead, it's very difficult to try and catch them back up. So something to watch out for Rueda on Sunday morning.
And the long lap feeds you right on the outside of turn 3. It's really, really dirty offline out there. You're coming kind of looping back round at the very top of the tracks where all the trees are. There's a lot of dust out, a lot of leaves out towards that side of the track. So really, really tricky long lap for Jose Antonio Rueda, and from a really innocuous kind of incident as well, and something that was so avoidable. So the 99 giving himself a little bit of work to do on Sunday. We look at David Almanza at the moment. He's working his way down towards turn 1, P3 yesterday, and David Almanza, very, very cool, calm and collected as ever. He's a very quiet young man. Good job indeed. Of course, no future absolutely concerned. We understand he's on a 1+1, but of course, like always in Leopard, you've got to earn it. So far, not so bad for David Almanza. Just on the penalty front, as we pick up Nicola Carraro, he caused a crash yesterday. Sounds like he absolutely throttled Scott Ogden down in towards turn 10, and for that, a second offence, and likewise a long lap penalty loop.
Yes, unfortunate for Ogden. We didn't get a replay, so we don't actually know what happened, but if you were watching practice yesterday, you'd have seen the CIP Green Power KTM looking very second-hand in the box, and team manager Alan Bronick looking too impressed. Ogden completed just 3 laps yesterday. Did go to the medical centre, has been declared fit to ride this morning, so this is a crucial session for Scott Ogden to get some more laps on the board, because he missed pretty much the whole session yesterday, and he's in Q1 for the second time this season, second time in a row. Those 15 minutes, to be honest, might do Ogden good to get a bit more track time, but you never want to be in Q1 to get more track time. But for Ogden, this session is important, and thankfully he seems to be all okay. Unfortunately, we can't really detail what happened because we haven't seen it, but it did sound like, and obviously with the long lap penalty for Carraro, that Carraro was at fault for the incident down at turn 10.
We can tell you that the front of the bike was absolutely smashed to pieces, though. So Scott Ogden probably won't mind going through Q1, actually. We've lost so much track time yesterday. Scott should have pace to come through. It's not a guarantee, but he really should be in those top 4 positions come Q1. And that extra 15 minutes at least compensates for losing out yesterday. Andrea Fernandez at the moment is your top rider. 5 minutes into this session, he's getting a good look at Max Kielers. Fernandez a little bit lost yesterday in the afternoon session, down in 12th place. Went one direction with the bike, didn't seem to work. Ironically, David Almanza put in Adrian Fernandez's normal setting to try and find some feeling in the afternoon, and it works wonders for him. So they bring one layer part up, but the other one drops back. They're both into Q2 directly, though, so good job from Fernandez and Almanza. Unlike this rider, Angel Piqueras was in at the start of it all. He was 14th, but then his lap being cancelled because of an incident elsewhere on track means that, well, Q1 bound for Piqueras.
Yeah, second Q1 of the season along with Bruno, so that's 2 Q1 appearances in the last 4 races for Piqueras. He and Rueda were the only riders up to that point in Bruno to never see Q1 in 2025. Obviously that went in Bruno, and unfortunately Piqueras, he's in Q1 again this weekend after claiming 16 points back in the last couple of rounds to Rueda. He's got a job on his hand, but for Piqueras, as long as he gets through Q1 and can qualify on those front 3 rows of the grid, he's certainly going to be in with a chance of claiming victory, you feel, because although he's had a quiet weekend, Piqueras usually does deliver in terms of pace on Sunday, and once you're in that group, I mentioned already that the wind and the slipstream is going to be vital, so if you can get yourself into that front group early doors. Valentin Peroni said yesterday that he expects it to be a massive group at the front on Sunday if it does play out like it did yesterday. So not too much to worry about for Piqueras as things stand, but obviously you've got to get through Q1. That top 4 is going to be hotly contested. You've got the likes of, where you see Yamanaka in there as well, his teammates. So both Frinza MT Helmets MSI riders are going through Q1, which isn't good news for the team. But the good news for Piqueras is Rueda has a long lap penalty. So some bad news on both fronts for the top 2 in the championship, and for Kielers as well in P4, Kiko, because he had a nasty old crash yesterday. He said he felt a little bit battered and bruised going into practice yesterday afternoon, but got the job done, started to feel a little bit more comfortable on the bike. But it's not been an easy weekend, a plain sailing weekend so far for a lot of your championship front runners. I think David Munoz on your screen right now is the only one who's really had it pretty much all his own way, although he said yesterday that he's not feeling that good on the bike either. So potentially a chance this weekend for some of the riders to try and pounce for victory and podiums when the front runners are struggling a little bit.
We know that Catalunya always provides a land of opportunity. The nature of the track is very fast flowing, a lot of slipstream in parts, so naturally we're going to have a big group. I still believe Jose Antonio Rueda, with that long lap penalty, as long as he doesn't get detached from the group, should still work it out. Piqueras is the bigger question mark, because of course if you put yourself down the field on the grid, you put yourself in a real issue potentially down in towards turn 1, turn 4, turn 5 and turn 10 on the opening lap. Oh, Munoz got that all wrong going down in towards turn 1 and takes evasive action. The rider for me that looked very, very good yesterday in terms of pace at the end of the session, David Almanza, very, very quick, and you've got a bit of notes on him, El, but also Valentin Peroni has been in fine form of recent rounds, and it is no surprise to me at least that he's once again towards the top of the timesheets, and yesterday in particular P1 coming into Saturday. Where is it at the moment? Valentin Peroni 7th at the moment, a second off, but we're only 8.5 minutes into this one. So Peroni and Almanza, whilst the others, the main favourites, might have had a couple of dramas. Kino should be okay. He'll be battered and bruised and be regretting that crash yesterday. I still think Kielers will be there, Rueda should be there. Yeah. But a clean weekend so far from the likes of Peroni, Munoz and Almanza. I think those three, this is a good opportunity, a track that does give up some different kind of results every now and then.
Definitely a good opportunity, yeah. Peroni hasn't finished outside the top 2 on a Friday in the last 3 rounds. He made a setting change yesterday. I think the team were just trying a few little things just to see if he can find any improvements. That didn't work in the morning, so they reverted back to the usual setting for Peroni in the afternoon, and he said felt really comfortable from the off. So I think they're going to stick with that. Peroni did also say yesterday that this session is going to be really important. The aim of the game is to just go out there, lap for the full 30 minutes on the same set of tyres and really figure out what the tyre drop is going to be. So do watch out for that at the end of the session to see what the lap times are. We're 1:47.3 at the moment is the table topping time from Becerra. So let's see how much that does drop towards the end of the session. But I agree, David Almanza also looks very good. At the end of the session yesterday, he set 3 1:47s, the fastest of those being a 1:47.779, which puts him, of course, in P3. No one else set more than 1:47, and of course it was only Peroni, Munoz, Almanza and Pini who were able to dip into the 1:47 bracket. So at the end of the session yesterday, Almanza did look really good, and he voiced that at the end of the day as well, saying he did feel comfortable after they made that setting change, as you pointed out as well, Kiko. So it's all good on a Friday, but you just got to take it into Saturday and Sunday, which Almanza just hasn't quite managed to do late on a Sunday. But definitely it's a big chance for those 2 riders in particular, judging from yesterday anyway, to try and get a pole position, get on that front row and really challenge for a victory on Sunday. It's definitely coming in for Peroni, but Almanza certainly needs a podium. It will do him no harm when he is searching for a ride, potentially in 2026.
Absolutely. You've got to think that David Almanza, the podium's coming sooner rather than later, but for Peroni, that victory's really not that far away at all. We just saw Max Kielers, it was, picking up just coming out of turn 5 there. I hope he was far enough off the racing line to not be getting collared by Simon Crafar up in race direction, but we'll have to wait on that one. The FIM MotoGP steward, of course, keeping a watchful eye on that one. Jose Antonio Eda moves up to 5th place. Of course, this session doesn't have any bearing on qualifying. It's just to get dialed in. That's why it's so important to stay upright and not have any kind of bumps in the road, because you really don't want to be carrying any knocks or a lack of momentum moving in to qualifying, because it is a dog-eat-dog world in Moto3. If you're off the boil, you are made to pay. Just ask Ty Furusato. So if you can't string a lap together in qualifying, you soon find yourself all the way down the field. Almanza's lap has gone away from him, but again, this is a solid run from the number 22. He's going to come to the line here, what, half a second off probably by the time he comes across the line. Oh, a second off, he must have got caught up there behind, I think it was Ryusei Yamanaka. We're looking at Joel Kelso, 12th at the minute. This should bump him up into the top 10, and it does, moves him up to 4th place. So Joel Kelso, another rider who really could do with a really big result of late. Last time 8th in Hungary, 11th before that in Austria. Didn't start, of course, back in Brno. His last top 6 came in Germany, and that in July. Seems a long time ago. Joel Kelso started this season on fine form, but unfortunately has just gone away from him a little bit in recent rounds.
Yeah, he did say yesterday, though, that he felt much better on the bike. He said yesterday was a really good day to get that feeling back. He said he's feeling much better than he was in the last couple of rounds, which is good news, of course, for Kelso, the team, and of course his Australian fans, either back home or in Europe or wherever you are around the world. Would be nice to see Kelso back up in that podium fight on a regular basis, back to where he was at the start of the season. Of course, that championship charge has just faded away slightly. You've got to say that he's not really in the title fight anymore, which is a shame for Kelso, who's had his couple of injury problems. But good news, yesterday he hit the ground running here at the circuit, the Barcelona-Catalunya, as Carraro looks at the inside of one of the Grid M-Lab bikes down at turn 10. I think it was Carraro. Anyway, one of the snipers boys down there at turn 10. But yes, Joel Kelso had a much better day of things yesterday. He just said he now needs to carry that over into qualifying and, of course, on Sunday in the race. I think what is going to help a lot of people, mentioned it already, is it's going to be a big group as Keyless gets it a little bit out of shape there through turn 13. That's where we had his crash yesterday. So Keyless clearly pushing on in these early exchanges in FP2. But a good day yesterday, as mentioned, for Joel Kelso, which was good news because from what we're hearing from Kelso and the team, it's been a bit all down in the dumps really in the last few rounds, approaching summer and then post-summer as well. So nice to hear them singing a good tune from their hymn sheet in the level of MTA box. Of course, Uriarte straight into Q2 as well. So a good day yesterday all round for the level of MTA.
Yeah, exactly, and they need that. I think if you build momentum from Friday, you're there come the rest of the weekend. Now we're looking at Luca Lanetta. Has he had a little tumble somewhere? He's slow down the back straight. We pick him up down at turn 10. Luca Lanetta up into Q2 directly on his comeback ride. Very strong stuff indeed, considering of how bad his leg break injury was, sustained back at Assen. But good stuff from Lanetta, moving through into Q2 and getting the job done, doing the donkey work yesterday. But nonetheless, the donkey work paying dividends. Do your homework and you'll reap the rewards Saturday and Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah, very impressive, to be fair, from Luca Lanetta. I think he described it on social media as not bad at all, and absolutely agree. Very good job from yesterday from Lanetta yesterday to get straight into Q2. He finished in P10, just over half a second away, sorry, from Valentin Peroni. So it'll be nice for Lanetta to try and qualify well and then mix it back in that top group, because he was in fine form before his unfortunate injuries. We get yellow flags in sectors 3 and 4. I believe, judging from yesterday's sectors 3 and 4 yellow flags, that we have an incident down at turn 10 potentially.
I think it is, because there's a green flashing panel on the exit. So let's see what has happened. Is it Max Keeles? Because the number 28's transponder has stopped on your little map there on the right-hand side. Oh, it is Max Keeles, a second crash of the weekend here in Montmello. This one, well, maybe he's head-butted that out of anger, because that's the second one, and Max Keeles a lot nicer, excuse my poor English there, a lot nicer down at turn 10, a lot more comfortable for the 28 down there than turn 13. They're trying to get that one bump started, but that don't look like it's going anywhere, and the yellow flags are still out. I think he's going to have to, don't throw a tantrum, he's going to have to get that one back. It's free practice too, and now this is exactly what I was alluding to. You could really do without throwing it and tossing it up the street, because this is not good prep going into qualifying. We're going to have a look at what happened here. That just folds right out from under him, no saving that. And unfortunately for Keeles, because it goes early, it reaches the gravel and takes a little bounce as well. And that's that, so that's got to get back to the pits. He has got about 15 minutes, 13 minutes to get back. And waving your arms in the air like you just don't care isn't going to get there over there very much quicker. So Max Keeles, gravel at the moment at turn 10. The yellow flags are still out. Well, they've just gone in as I say that. But Keeles trudges back, and that is a second fall of the weekend for the 28.
Yep, not the Saturday morning Keeles or the team would have wanted, unfortunately. Dennis Fodge was up in P6, so a decent session so far for his teammate. But as we were saying, Keeles had a big crash yesterday here at turn 13. The fast sweeping right-hander had a big tumble through the gravel trap. Bike was very battered and bruised as well, and that bike's taken some damage as well. I'm pretty sure that's going to be session over, unfortunately, for Keeles. Where is he on the timing tower?
I don't think he set a lap time out.
No, I think it must have been cancelled, because obviously he's been setting lap times, but he's obviously not set one either.
A valid one.
So yeah, not good news for Keeles at all, who has had a tricky weekend so far, it has to be said. He's straight into Q2, which is obviously good news. Hasn't got Q1 to worry about. 2 crashes though in 2 mornings. Not the way he would have wanted to start his weekend on home turf.
The thing is with Keeles, I think he's been exceeding track limits on every single lap. We saw that in Austria. And you know, that's fine. In these sessions it doesn't really matter too much. Practice, he's already banked it and moved through. But Max Keeles, he does like flirting with track limits, and he definitely found the limit down at turn 10. We pick up Jose Antonio Rueda then, your championship leader, whose points advantage is slowly being whittled away, but it's still a healthy margin, well north of 60 points. And of course, here in Catalunya, this is a circuit that he'll know very, very well from his junior GP days. He's been here last year as well. So Jose Antonio Rueda, well, they've got the bike moving again. That's exactly why I speculated he might have head-butted it through anger, because he's still head-banging himself. Max Keeles, not a happy bunny down there in pit lane. So back to Rueda, he knows this track from his junior GP days. He knows it from being here last year on Moto3 machinery. Yes, he's got a long lap, but this is not the kind of track that you think Ooh, Jose Antonio Rueda not going to be in the podium fight here. Very much, well, could not be in the podium fight. He saw it, Aragon, he struggled and made that mistake late on, and that was a track he knows well as well. But round here, really, a long lap penalty, it shouldn't do him too much damage if he gets it done early doors.
It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Rueda, a podium finisher here last year, finished P4 at the Solidarity GP as well, so a track he got on very well with last year in Moto3, and of course he's a much better rider, a much more confident rider. Oh, that was a bit close between our Mandarin for a starter down at turn 1 into the breaker zone, the two Hondas going down there, both in Q2. But yeah, Rueda has a job on his hands. It's those little things that could cost Rueda a little bit more points, a little bit more advantage in the championship, and that's what I mean by just these little things that could go wrong. A long lap penalty, you could easily get in there a little bit too hot, make a mistake. It's a tight long lap penalty, ain't easy to get it wrong, especially at a hard braking zone, and if you obviously get it wrong, you've got to go through it again, and that's going to be pushing towards the sort of 8, 9, potentially 10-second mark you're going to lose, and once you lose that amount of time around here, it's very difficult to make it up, especially with potential lack of slipstream. So it is going to be interesting. I agree. I think Rueda is going to be absolutely fine as long as he does nail that long lap penalty loop. But you've got to nail it first, and things could go wrong. This is Moto3, this is motorcycle racing, nothing is ever as it says on the tin. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out, and that's just the little thing that Rueda's rivals, Piqueras, Munoz, Quiles, etc., will be thinking, okay, this is another little chance for us to try and claw some points back. But he's looked a lot more comfortable this weekend with Rueda. Said that yesterday, straight away felt more comfortable than he did in the last 2 rounds. So obviously good news for the team and the 99.
The thing with Rueda as well, his last two qualifying places have been down in 8th place. Now that's the third row of the grid. It's quite a long run down towards turn 1 on Sunday. It's easy to make up a couple of positions, but it's also easy to lose them. Now if Rueda finds himself back in the pack and then has to take his long lap penalty, he could find himself in a world of pain trying to fight his way through a load of riders that normally he wouldn't be racing with.
Yeah, as we know, turn 1 here is one of the trickiest opening turn 1s. I think on the calendar we've seen plenty incidents down there in years gone by. Obviously the riders and bikes carrying a lot of speed down into that downhill braking zone, a tight right-hander, easy to get it wrong, and if you've got some riders behind you who are a little bit too eager, let's say, then you could easily find yourself running wide or crashing through no fault of your own. So got to negotiate turn 1 here, as you do at all the tracks, of course, but this one in particular is a hot spot, let's say, for potential incidents to happen. So yeah, it's just just another little bit of spice added to Sunday, and something, of course, Rueda and the team would not have wanted. I think he's going to be fine. He's got the pace this weekend. It's not like he's looking like he in the last 2, where he's just struggled to get it going a little bit. I would have worried a lot more over in Austria and last time out in Hungary if he'd had a long lap penalty. But for sure, it's a good 3 seconds already chalked off his race time, so he's got a little bit more work to do.
He has got more work to do, but thankfully it looks like he's got some pace this weekend. He hasn't had great pace over the last couple of Grand Prix, but he's always come good on Sunday, Jose Antonio Rueda. You get the feeling he's very much more a Sunday man than he is a qualifying man. We are looking at the KTMs coming through turn 1 as we switch our attentions back to the Liqui Dynavolt Intact GP squad of Guido Pini, who's down in 21st place, and just behind him, David Munoz. Where's Munoz? Up in 8th place at the moment. Pini's just had his lap cancelled for track limits, so this one won't count, but good to see a bit of teamwork between the two of them. Pini round here, you can expect him to go well. He's had a podium back in ETC here. David Munoz, podium here before, loves a comeback round here too. But these two, you'd expect them to be in the big front gaggle of riders on Sunday, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Pini just lost out in the mid part of the race towards the end over in Hungary. He was in that lead group, wasn't he? He was saying how quick the pace was, and then just made a couple of little mistakes and then got the long lap penalty, then unfortunately crashed while taking the long lap penalty just as he'd lost touch on the leaders. And Munoz, we know how famous Munoz's podium was in his 2nd ever race when he really took the Moto3 world by storm. A few years ago when he entered the scene, Munoz, this was the scene of his first podium. So yeah, both of those Liqui Dynavolt Intact GP riders should be in that podium fight, sectors 2 and 3. turn 5, it could be.
I think it is, judging by our track map that is now illuminated in yellow between turn 5 and 6, so we'll have to wait and see what exactly it is. Oh, Adrian Fernandez, he could have really done without that, down in 12th yesterday, through into Q2, but yet again, just a clear example that you really could do without a crash, and that late on in the session as well, 6 minutes as well to go. He's not going to get back out, and it just gives the team 10 minutes less than Max Skiles to get that bike sorted out. It doesn't look too bad, and the teams know how to do this all very efficiently, but it's just extra stress for everyone that they really could have done without. I can tell you it is actually turn 5 for this crash. Oh no, well, exit at turn 4, he's ended up at turn 5. I tell you what, I thought that Fernandez was walking a bit gingerly there, and now we know why. Big high side exit at turn 4, that bike has gone all the way down towards turn 5, a big one for Fernandez.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one then, coming out of turn 4. Don't see that too often, do we? Expecting when there's yellow flags down at turn 5, a simple front-end washout, but yeah, nice one for Fernandez. Good to see him back up on his feet.
He was so far over the curb, though. You don't see that all the time on the exit of turn 4, so Adrian Fernandez maybe a bit wide and hunting for a lap time, but really there was just no need to do it. He's P2, and Fernandez up in 2nd place, was already having a decent session. Unfortunately, it's going to end prematurely. This is Scott Ogden battling away with Jose Antonio Ueda. This is down at turn 10. Scoggers is down in 21st place at the moment. Catalunya is not being very nice to the number 19, is it at all here? He can do well to latch onto the back of Rueda and get a tour of this place. Probably from one of the experts out there on track. There's a little bit of debris just in the middle of that track, isn't there, between turns 4 and 5. Don't think it's going to be too bad for them. Might just be a little bit of plastic or maybe even a visor, but tail-off visor, but it'll be catching the rider's attention down there on the braking zone for turn 5. Pini and Munoz still tied together. Pini down in 22nd place. Hopefully doesn't have this lap cancelled right out onto the edge of the curb. Wonder if he just dropped over a little bit there, Pini, but down towards turn 10, and he still leads his teammate Munoz.
Yeah, Buchanan just behind them as well. He said he wasn't riding how he wanted to ride yesterday. He could ride a lot better, he says. The New Zealander and crashed at turn 5. Both Bowie motorsport riders, Moodley and Buchanan, crashed at the same time at turn 5 in separate incidents whilst going for their time attack. So crashed at the wrong time, unfortunately, for both of those boys, and they'll be in Q1, unfortunately. So yeah, Buchanan was a little bit disappointed in himself, let's say, but hopefully the Bowie motorsport riders of Moodley and Buchanan, P16 and 17 as things stand in this session, can have a little fight and challenge for that top 4 later on this afternoon to rediscover a bit of their mojo. Of course, after Moodley's injuries, and Buchanan's had a few crashes and of course picked up that injury in Brno as well. It'd be nice to see Moodley and Buchanan back to what we saw in the first half of the season when they were regularly challenging for Q2 and big points, as well as Quiles then
good job.
Enters the scene. Good job indeed from the Aspar mechanics down there to get Quiles back out. An important 3 minutes really, because this is the last track time you're going to get before heading out for qualifying.
You can guarantee Jorge Martinez Aspar has just gone, don't do it again. Do not give us any more work, because this time we've managed to get it all sorted out. I tell you what, it's a bit tape on the back of that bike holding it up together, I think. So a nice quick solution. Scott Ogden moves up into 14th. He spoke about finding mojos out. Well, here's one rider who really could do with it. The number 83 of Alvaro Carpe, one of the standout rookies in 2025, but of late has been a little bit difficult for him. 9th, 10th, 12th the last 3 Grand Prix he's been in. The best results he's had, the only top 5 he's had in the last 4 back in Germany. So Alvaro Carpe, a little bit of work to do. Qualified well last night, but again just didn't have the race pace.
Exactly that. Yeah, he was in that lead group in the opening exchanges, wasn't he? But Carpe just didn't quite have the pace. He said yesterday that he struggled a little bit again in yesterday's both free practice and practice. Just not got the feeling with the machine that he had early on in the season. We've seen that with the likes of Kelso as well, haven't we? Just lost his way a little bit as Carpe, which is unfortunate. Of course, at one point it did look like he was going to be this rider, his teammates, of course, main challenger in the championship chase, but that hasn't really come about. He didn't have a outside top 5 finish in the last 6 before Brno, and he's now unfortunately not finished inside the top 8 in the last 3 races. So Carpe does need to find that form again, and it'll be a nice weekend for him to do it, of course, on home turf. He can get into that league group and qualify well. He's straight into Q2, which is good. Then I think he's got a good chance. It'd be nice to see the 8-3 back up at the sharp end fighting for regular podiums, because that's what we're used to seeing now from the rookie. There's another one that crosses the line to begin his final lap of the session. See if he can get a lap time on the board for starters.
Yeah, it could be his first lap of the session. You never know. Giles gets down towards turn one, just on Carpe. He likes to come back round here as well. P12 to victory in Junior GP last year here, and 19th to 4th in the European Talent Cup back in 2021. We see that a lot though. He's not the only rider like that. David Munoz, of course, had to fight his way through to come through for a podium. Back his first podium a few years ago. Because this track just lends itself to pack racing. It is the traditional Moto3 chaos that does ensue here in Barcelona. Carpe 8th then as he comes across the line, and he's getting slipstreamed by Marcus Uriarte. I'm not sure if Uriarte's going to make the pass down towards turn one. Jacob Ralston up behind Angel Piqueras. Ralston looking to try and sort his future out, at least publicly, at least for him. 10th at the moment for the number 12, and another rider who probably just needs that one big result, L, to try and bank himself something to build from, because it's been a very up and down season so far.
Yeah, he did enjoy himself yesterday. He felt good straight away. He hit the ground running, and FP1 did. The Australian, it was his best Friday result since Germany, in his third top 6 Friday of the season. Finished 10th in Hungary, which was a return to the top 10 since Germany as well. So he's definitely chipping away at things, Ralston. He said he's now getting to circuits that he enjoys more, the more flowing circuits. He's struggled in the last part of the braking zone when you're trying to chuck it into the corner. So tracks like the Red Bull Ring and obviously Balaton Park is a pretty stop-go circuit as well. He said he struggled a little bit more at those circuits, so he's happy. There is definitely tape on the rear end of that KTM of Giles as well. So yeah, the Australian sounding positive yesterday, which was good news. We want to see Ralston back in that sort of podium hunt, top 6 hunt, because he was in it in Aragon, and then of course the bike gave up for a very, very small issue, which was unfortunate for the Australian. But singing a good tune yesterday was Ralston.
Yeah, Giles ain't, because he's just exceeded track limits again. No lap time for Max Giles, and dearie me, looks like he's just had pole position taken off him. He looks a bit dejected there. I didn't see him exceed track limits in the last corner, so I just wondered if it was a little bit late coming through and it was elsewhere on the circuit. But well, Max Giles, a little bit of extra weights with the tape on the back of that bike, but yeah, you could see Jorge Martinez Aspar and Nico Toll down there in the box also having a bit of a chin wag, trying to work out exactly what has gone on. Tell you what's gone on, we didn't pick up on it at all really, but it's inconsequential. Angel Piqueras P1, but he's got to go through Q1. Imagine if he just sorted this out yesterday. A 47.3 would have been more than good enough to put him well in. In fact, it would have been the fastest lap time of the weekend.
Yeah, good stuff from Piqueras, just what he would have wanted. 3.5 attempts, pretty much clear of the chasing pack at 147.365. Good stuff, a nice little confidence booster after the disappointment of yesterday. Almanza inside that top 3 as well. Good job again from Almanza. He's been in the top 3 in both of these practice and FP2 sessions, so good stuff from the 22. Just behind his teammate Fernandez, obviously had that big crash as we focus in on Jorge Martin, just getting a little bit more comfortable on that Aprilia. But who else had a good session? Rueda and Munoz inside that top 5. Kelso again looking good, but it was all about Piqueras and FP2, but it's qualifying that matters.
Qualifying is what matters. Points in the Grand Prix, of course, but it is Piqueras, Fernandez and Almanza, your top 3. Spain, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That doesn't tell the full story though. Adrian Fernandez in second. Big crash out turn 4. Hopefully he's all right. He was up on his feet. Joel Kelso 6th ahead of Foggia. Ogden Rossi in the top 9. Carpe completes the top 10. All the way down the order. Valentin Peroni fastest on Friday, only 11th in FP2. Ralston 12th. Yamanaka and Carraro the top 14. But of course the top 14 already seeded through, because we've got qualifying coming up a little bit later on. And who will join them and graduate from that Q1 jungle? it will eventually change, I promise you. There we go. Sprint Saturday continues. Moto2 up next in the company of Lewis Sotheby and Neil Morrison, but for myself, Kiko Giles and Neil York, we'll be back a bit later in Moto E. Goodbye and enjoy.
Good morning, everybody, from Barcelona. What a beautiful Saturday morning this is. Time to be alive in Montmello with Super Saturday right ahead of us. And a Super Saturday, of course, where Marc Marquez is looking to take the first of two steps this weekend towards a World Championship match point next time out at Misano. So to achieve that, to have that opportunity, he needs to outscore Alex Marquez by 10 points this weekend. And of course, he's got an opportunity to score 12 of them today in the T-Sub Sprint, which comes up at 3 p.m. local time, although, as we'll get into when we get to MotoGP, perhaps it's the younger Marquez who starts this qualifying day as favourite. Beautiful blue skies overhead, barely a cloud to be seen. And we are set fair for pleasant dry conditions for the entirety of this Grand Prix weekend. Which will be good news to those in Moto2, including yesterday's fastest rider, Aaron Canet. That 1:42.168 doesn't quite tell the full story of what we saw yesterday. He was 28th before he set that fastest lap time of the day. Danny Holgado, who was fast all day, second. Jake Dixon, top Boscoscuro, third. Some surprise names towards the top. Danny Munoz for the Red Bull KTM IO squad, who's, of course, the Dennis Untu Super Sub. Colin Bayer continuing the strong form we saw from him in Hungary. He was up inside the top 6. World Championship leader Manu Gonzalez back in 10th, although he and his teammate Senna Regis, who's 11th, looked particularly good over their longer runs yesterday. Outside the top 14, though, as always, several illustrious names, including Albert Arenas, who's 8th in the World Championship, Marcos Ramirez, who's 10th in the World Championship, Celestino Vietti, who's 6th in the points. He goes to qualifying 1 later on today for the second Grand Prix weekend in a row. David Alonso, winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix in such spectacular fashion. Fair to say he has been brought back down to earth with something of a bump in Montmello. We'll get into the explanation behind his struggles as we get into this session, but the Colombian down in 23rd place yesterday, and he's now in store for a 10th Q1 appearance of the season at a circuit that he is undefeated at in his Grand Prix career to date. So we're just coming up towards 9:20 on this beautiful Saturday morning in Barcelona. Lewis Sotheby and Neil Morrison with you for this upcoming Moto2 free practice 2 session. We're taking a look at Diogo Moreira, who of course is 3rd in the World Championship. Fair to say he's going to be one of the candidates to fight for victory in the podium tomorrow, but he's part of what I think is quite a lengthy list.
Yeah, a list almost as long as my arm when I was talking through some of the analysis from yesterday afternoon. Moto2, not for the first time in 2025, looking pretty open as we go into qualifying Saturday. Still plenty of time for riders to bring it back and to work on their settings, work on their riding. But certainly from what we saw yesterday afternoon, Lewis, there were a host of names that I think can certainly be dreaming of a podium finish here tomorrow. As you can see, we have absolutely fabulous conditions here at the circuit of Barcelona-Catalunya here on Saturday morning. And that is set to continue. Temperatures are only going to rise from here until qualifying. So strap yourselves in. We've got a Super Saturday coming up. Not just the Tissot Sprint.